March 28th, 2022. Halfcast 270, episode 270. Let's go. Of course, I have a few things to share with you guys. An evening of reflection. Shall we? Applebee's franchise exec says pricey gas will let them cut pay. That is a great idea, sir. We were looking at your salary and expenditures for 2021, and we figured if we were going to trim the fat, we would start at right about your level. To Applebee's franchise executive Wayne Pankratz, surging gas prices are an opportunity for his business rather than a downside. That's because, as he told managers at franchise owner Apple Central in an email memo, the pool of people who work at Applebee's live paycheck to paycheck and will be forced back into the workforce to earn more. It's not a secret restaurant workers don't make a whole lot anyway. Where does this guy get off? Applebee's, which is one drive-through window from being a fast food franchise anyway, is talking about cutting the employees' pay. Pankratz also saw another silver lining. Oh, he's on the roll. Mr. Bright Ideas. High gas prices will increase costs for competitors who won't be able to increase wages to the extent they had been. We all competed to hire out of the limited applicant pool, and there was a wage war, he wrote in the March 9th memo. They will no longer be able to afford to do this. Wasn't this decrease in the applicant pool due to number one, you're not paying them shit? And with COVID, they had enough time to figure out what they really wanted to do and open up their own businesses and just find better jobs overall. The result, Pankratz predicted, is hiring employees in at a lower wage to decrease our labor costs. You'll never have a solid staff with that. The memo, which was shared on social media, is sparking a backlash against Applebee's, with some consumers vowing never to dine at the chain. It's happening. They haven't even done it yet, and people are already leaving. And at one Applebee's location in Lawrence, Kansas, 3 of its 6 managers reportedly quit over the memo, according to the Lawrence World Journal. If you're a manager, this screws you because you're going to always have to deal with not having enough people on staff, or you're always going to have to hire and train new employees because nobody cares enough to stay. Pankratz is no longer employed by Applebee's franchise owner, Apple Central, according to a statement from Applebee's. They were all doing coke together and thought it was a funny idea. They didn't know he was going to go through with it. The individual has been terminated by the franchisee who owns and operates the restaurants in this market, said Kevin Carroll, Chief Operations Officer at Applebee's, in an emailed statement. Smart move. Attempts to reach Pankratz on Friday morning were unsuccessful, and Scott Fisher, Director of Communications for Apple Central, referred questions about the memo and Pankratz's employment status to Applebee's corporate office. The company distanced itself from the memo. This is an opinion of an individual, not Applebee's. Carroll said its employees are the lifeblood of our restaurants. Thank you. And our franchisees are always looking to reward and incentivize team members, new and current, to remain within the Applebee's family. Thank you. Very smart of someone to filter him out immediately, because that plan could have easily resulted in the closure of a few of their locations. Just the sheer foolishness of that idea. What happens when employees start telling you they can't make it to work because they can't afford gas? Applebee's corporate owner is Dine Brands Global of Glendale, California, perhaps best known as the founder of IHOP Pancake restaurant chain. I didn't know that. It's more than 1,700 Applebee's franchises in the U.S. generated about $3 billion in total sales in 2020, according to the latest estimates from Restaurant Business Magazine. The Pankratz memo also aimed to provide some advice for managers to make sure you have a pulse on the morale of your employees, and suggested that many workers will need to work more hours or get a second job. I have a better suggestion. Why don't you tell them that So when they dump hot chicken grease on you, I could be in the next room cleaning out my locker because I fucking quit too. Pancrat's advice to managers: be conscious of that and provide schedules early so the workers can arrange their second jobs around their Applebee's work. Applebee's workers earn an average hourly wage of $11.76 an hour, according to PayScale. That's far below the average hourly pay of $17.22 an hour earned by people working in the leisure and hospitality sector in February, according to the most recent government data. Leonia homicide victim had restraining order against alleged killer. Some people, most people do respect these restraining orders, but for the ones that don't and choose to violate them, they're looking to do harm. They're not looking to just talk and smooth things over. A Leonia woman, allegedly stabbed to death by her ex boyfriend on Saturday, had made multiple reports of domestic violence against the man, police said. According to an affidavit of probable cause filed by police, Alicia Arnon, 35, had obtained a restraining order against Andre Daniels before the attack inside her Grand Avenue apartment on Saturday morning. Arnon's and Daniels' daughter was sleeping in the home at the time of the killing. If you're an officer who's seen these type of cases before, it has to be extremely frustrating to not be able to arrest someone on what they might do or what they may potentially do. The restraining order prohibited Daniels, 39, from having any contact with Arnon and their daughter, according to the affidavit. It allegedly followed repeated domestic violence incidents involving the couple. Police said they arrived at the apartment building after a report of a stabbing and found Arnon in a pool of blood at the top of a flight of stairs on Saturday. A knife was found near her head, police added. She was pronounced dead at the scene. I think in this situation, the restraining order may have escalated the situation, being that he's not free to come in and abuse this woman the way he normally would. Arnold's daughter, who was identified by police as a juvenile, told authorities that she was awakened by the sound of her mother screaming. The affidavit said, "This is fucked up." When she walked into the next room, she saw Daniel standing near Arnon, who was tied to a chair and bleeding profusely. The report said Daniels then fled the apartment. Police were called to the scene by Arnon's current boyfriend, who authorities said arrived at the apartment after Daniels left. Arnon's boyfriend told police he found her unresponsive. When he arrived, Daniels was arrested later Saturday and charged with first-degree murder, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, and unlawful possession of a weapon. He is currently in custody at the Bergen County Jail. Pamela Smart, who had teenage lover kill her husband, denied reduced sentence. Don't let something like marriage get in the way of your relationship. A New Hampshire state council unanimously rejected Pamela Smart's request to be released from prison early Wednesday. Smart, now 54, was convicted in 1991 of being an accomplice to first degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and witness tampering in the death of her husband, Gregory. According to prosecutor Smart, a media coordinator for Winnicott High School in Hampton, New Hampshire, enlisted her lover, a 15-year-old student, Billy Flynn. Poor kid had his socks snatched away from him and was thrown into this woman's bedchambers to kill Gregory by threatening to stop having sex with him. That young boy was not about to give up a good time. I bet you she said, "Let's play a game of Clue. I'll give you either a pipe, a wrench, or a candlestick." Flynn was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. He was released on parole in 2015. Three other teenagers who helped Flynn pull off the murder, including the getaway driver and Vince Latime, who hid the gun at his house, were also convicted. All have since been released. They are better friends than me because if he's the only one nailing her, there's no way I'm helping him commit murder so he could keep getting the spoils. Pamela Smart: I offer no excuses for my actions and behavior. I'm to blame, Smart said in a recorded statement to the Attorney General's office when she filed her request in December. I regret that it took me so long to apologize to the Smart family, my own family, and everyone else, but I think that I wasn't at a place where I was willing to own that or face that. She said, I was young and selfish, and I wasn't thinking about the consequences of what I was doing. The council voted 5-0 to reject her plea for a sentence reduction. Smart has not proven she has truly changed and fully acknowledged all the crimes she committed as an accomplice and conspirator in her husband's murder and the perpetrator of witness tampering. Jerry Strelzin, Associate Attorney General, wrote, what did the husband do? Decades of lies cannot be undone in an instant by newfound claims of remorse and a vague acceptance of responsibility. He wants her ass to rot. The murder and Smart's circus of a trial inspired many books and movies, including the 1995 To Die For, starring Nicole Kidman, Joaquin Phoenix, and Matt Dillon. Box of human bones found in Ohio garage are over a century old and were used in rituals, police say. It's safe to assume that the bones belong to the house because I am leaving. Human bones found in a garage Thursday in Ohio belong to a group that used them in rituals more than 100 years ago, police said. The century old mystery began Thursday night when a person heard juvenile voices near a detached garage on Werner Avenue in the city of Mount Healthy. That's a hell of a name to find ritualized bones about 15 miles north of Cincinnati, according to a Friday statement from police. The person went to the area where the voices were heard and found the box in the garage, which appeared to contain decomposed human remains. The Mount Healthy Police Department said. Healthy is such an inappropriate word for this. Police said the bones once belonged to the Independent Order of Odd Fellows. That's a more appropriate term. A group that was founded as a fraternal organization in the early 19th century and once had a lodge in the city, but has long since moved from the area. The bones were relics used by the group in rituals, police said. A bunch of old guys in robes that weren't getting laid, just playing with bones. The organization was founded in 1819 and had a large following, police said. The building where the group met was purchased by a new owner who cleaned it out and stored the material from the building, including the box of bones, in the garage. The Hamilton County Coroner's Office was called to the scene, police said. Personnel with the office took the remains for examination and identification. The group's mission is to provide a framework that promotes personal and social development, like playing with bones. Large degrees and activities aim to improve and elevate every person to a higher, nobler plane, to extend sympathy and aid to those in need, making their burdens lighter, relieving the darkness of despair, to war against every vice and every form, and to be a great moral power and influence for the good of humanity. According to the group's website, the exact date of its founding is lost in the fogs of antiquity. Ooh. Some historians trace its roots back to the medieval trade guilds of the 12th and 13th centuries. Other estimates say group existed before 1650. The website said there were oddfellow groups in England in the 1700s. Oddfellow lodges had existed in New York City sometime between 1806 and 1818. What is that, like around Gangs of New York time? But the group was officially organized in April 26, 1819 in Baltimore, according to the organization. Fun show, fun show, fun show. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up, but I'll be sure to talk to you guys very, very soon. Adios.